Hello there, everybody. Welcome to the Healthy Enterprise Podcast. Thank you for joining me again. If you're back for more, and if you're new, welcome. I'm going to be talking to Erin Morrow, Director of Product Management at Embark Veterinary, a company that is using cutting-edge genetics to improve the life and longevity of dogs. So we're going to learn how AI and genomics are reshaping how we care for our four-legged family members. So let's get into it. Hello, Erin. Welcome to this episode. Thank you for joining me today.
So happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Heath.
So why don't you start with sort of introducing yourself to listeners about where you've come in your journey to where you are today, and then tell us about Embark.
Awesome. So hi, I'm Erin Morrow. I'm currently the Director of Product at Embark. I've been with the company for about 4 years now. I have about 15 years experience across product and program management in the software and hardware space. I've been in biotech companies, SaaS companies, and education technology, primarily in startups, a little bit beyond like early stage, but I really love startups. It's just like a really great fit for my drive and like wanting to be on the ground floor and enacting real change. I have a bachelor's in animal science from Cornell, and I have a master's in conservation biology from Columbia. So I am an animal lover at heart. I grew up training and showing golden retrievers. I've ridden horses all through my life. It's still a passion today. And I've had the opportunity to conduct wildlife all around the world. I've managed tern colonies in Maine. I've studied the impact of elephant migration on how it changes habitats on bird species in South Africa.
Wow.
I've run behavior experiments with a captive African wild dog pack at the Bronx Zoo. So it's been really fun and cool to like connect all these passions and interests into my product career. I feel really grateful.
And now you've come to this point where you've taken all your tech and all your innovation and your warm fuzzy creatures, and now it's all rolled into one. So that's kind of cool.
I know. I sort of
then
joked.
throw in some life sciences and some DNA genomics in there. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, when I saw the posting for Embark, it was originally a veterinary product manager role. And I remember turning to my husband and being like, I think they wrote this job description for me.
That's a rare moment, eh?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's sort of a hard sell when you come in being like, I'm your girl, but it worked out in my favor.
That's great.
Yeah.
So explain again. So it was a veterinary role or a veterinary role as opposed to.
Yeah. Well, so Embark, it's a dog DNA company. And so we help people understand just like genetic insights about their dogs. So it can be breed, it can be health risks, traits, age. The company itself was founded in 2015 by two brothers. It was Brian and Adam Boyko. They were geneticists and they were really interested in the problem of how do we prevent diseases in dogs. And now it has grown into a multi-million-dollar business. We've tested over 2 million dogs around the world. And what I'm doing for my team is we're really focused on how do we translate those genetic results into insights for pet parents. And so the business drivers around engagement and LTV, but if you've been watching our product line and experience over the years, we've been putting out a lot of new products and experiences to try to get to that mission of like being partners in helping people having their pets live happier, healthier lives together.
Yeah, so explain that a little bit, just for listeners who are familiar with how understanding DNA will actually target that. Because everyone's heard of the find your long lost relatives. We can make that connection, and actually you have a really funny couple of videos that kind of talk about that, right? Let's explain a little bit more about how the DNA has an impact on a dog's quality of life, for example, and an owner's ability to make decisions around that.
Yeah, the primary customer we have is someone who has a mixed breed dog. They might have adopted it from a shelter or rescue, or it was given to them and the background is unknown. And so you might look at the dog and say, oh, like my dog looks like a Chihuahua. But when you do the DNA testing, you might find that your dog is actually, 30% Chihuahua and might be, 40% Australian Shepherd, right? And just some of those traits didn't come through. And so the way that you care for your dog could be very different. And so you might, Chihuahua is a toy breed and Australian Shepherds is a sporting breed. You might think about different care activities, different nutrition. And so just building the deeper insights about your pup can unlock some of the care decisions that you might take. We also have another product that I was part of bringing to life, which is the age test. And so that one has a pretty obvious value prop. We can help you figure out your dog's age within plus or minus 12 months. But that one's great too for the dog that you might have adopted. The veterinarian says, oh, like visual identification is only so good for age. Like the dog could be 5 years, it could be 10 years. Well, having a test that can show you what your dog's life stage is, if you thought your dog was a senior, you find out it's a mature adult. Again, that's like going to be an unlock for care, and you just have like much more tangible information that you can use in your dog's daily life.
Yeah, and for the vets too.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
That gives them a lot of insight as to how to treat or look after and advise the pet owner.
Right.
And I mean, this is not a small industry. I mean, we're talking about like 45% of homes in the US are homes to dogs. Like that's a lot of dogs out there that we don't know a lot about because they can't answer any questions. And so this is really the only way to get these kind of the details.
Yeah, guessing only gets you so far. And AI visual identification for breed is getting there, but there's nothing quite that replaces DNA testing so far.
Very cool. So what was the most important part for you when you were looking at this role? Like what was it the technology? I mean, obviously the dogs because you had a passion for animals, but was it the technology that really intrigued you?
Yeah, my career started with I sort of fell into a technology startup in New York City called Little Bits, and it was sort of like an electronic Lego, like snap together circuits that we found our niche was really with educators and kids who were using these things for STEM learning, and so they could create inventions with these things. And so where my roots were in product were it was software, but it was mostly hardware and thinking through what is the experience that you start to build when you bring these pieces together. And I sort of like learned as I went in the product space. But where I jumped to after Little Bits was Predictive Index, which was truly like a SaaS cloud-based HR startup. And that was where I really cut my teeth in understanding like what a large scale, like well-run software agile group looked like. And so between those two experiences, I think like Embark was a perfect fit for my skill set where I wanted to continue running in software development, but it still had a physical product, which had like a core like out of box experience that was really important to the user journey. Mm-hmm. But it also was like dogs are playful. People love talking about their dogs, interacting with their dogs. And so, like I got to bring my playful creativity side plus my software side and like merge them and plus the passion. So it was a slam dunk.
Yeah. It's kind of a warm and fuzzy environment for lack of a better word, right?
Yeah. It attracts very like fun, mission driven, kind people who like the type of people who would have dogs.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I'm glad you brought that up because you've got you have a software product plus you actually have tangible products as well. So you kind of get a little bit to play a little bit in both those areas.
We do.
As a product person. So that must be exciting too because yes, to sell the idea of the DNA and that is less tangible than something you put in a box and put on the shelves. And so, yeah. How do you enjoy that balance between those two?
I love it. I mean, I've been able across those 4 years, I've been able to work on so many different parts of the product. And now where I sit, I get to have like a more comprehensive view of the product experience and the customer journey. And obviously through those years, our priorities have shifted. Like one of the things we spend a lot of time on is just improving our road to profitability. And so like cost saving initiatives as a company objective are not sexy, but like
Mm-hmm.
that's how you help the business grow and become more stable over time. And so as part of that initiative, I did spend time working with the supply chain managers to say like, hey, how can we rethink our packaging to maybe cost less per touch, or change the paper, or think about simplifying the structure of the components.
Mm-hmm.
And like a couple cents builds up over time, and that when you're selling many thousand kits a year, small changes like that really matter.
When you first came on board, I mean, how far were they into the DNA product? Was it already fully launched, or did you come in at a certain stage?
The core product was out into the world. So that was a breed ID kit and then a breed and health kit, which was run on the same microarray chip. We just package it differently for the consumer at different price points. Since I've been on, I launched the age test. We've also launched supplements in the fall of this past year. We have three
Mm.
options: multi, which is like a multivitamin, allergy, or joint. And then the other two, we have two white labeled brands. I helped bring to life a telehealth and teletraining product that we launched 6 months ago,
Oh, interesting.
which is super
Wow.
cool. It's like our first real subscription recurring revenue product. And then the other one is we have a partnership with Animal Biome. So that's like microbiome testing. And we have some targeted supplements there too. So it's been interesting because we still have teams who are working on the core product, but we're also building out this ecosystem around it that
Mm-hmm.
gets more towards the longer term care and longevity story.
Yeah, because having that DNA test is like a springboard for all these other
Right,
things, right?
right.
And is are you at the stage yet where you've got the AI or the intelligence to say you get that data back and then you can instantly start recommending and aligning a healthcare program, so to speak, for a pet?
Yes, we're actively working on things. So I would say watch our company for things to come. I'll tease that as much as I can. But that's exactly where my team is head is at is translating
Cool.
those insights into actual like personalized recommendations. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
That'd be a nice way to sort of package things up and say, "Hey, here you go. We got the package for you
Yeah.
for this dog
I
breed."
think
And
we have enough signals in the space of a one and done test kit is not the future. 23andMe being our most recent
mm-hmm,
example in the field.
mm-hmm.
So if you can't crack ongoing engagement and LTV, we can pack our bags, right? And so that's been a strategic focus for us, is thinking through how do we build value, like meaningful
Mm-hmm.
value to the
For sure.
customer over time, because we know your dog inside and out, right? Like we can help you think through
Yeah.
how does your dog transition through different life stages. When we were doing user research, that wasn't even a term that a lot of people were familiar with, that your dog actually has these moments in time where they have clear transitional periods based on their weight
Mm-hmm.
and their age. When is your dog a puppy, a young adult, a mature adult, a senior, and a geriatric? And even just knowing where your dog falls within one of those life stages that can be just like really helpful for care, and talking to your veterinarian about what preventative steps could look like.
There, when pets or dogs particularly, they mature and age a lot quicker than adults. So
Yeah.
is there points in time where you would need to have a DNA test redone, like once they hit a senior stage you would want to reassess that as things shift in a dog's life? I mean, that's only like a 15 years time span, so is that
Yeah.
something that gets done more than once?
That's a great question. So that's getting to the heart of our two portfolio offerings. The DNA test, that your DNA will never change, right?
Right.
But the piece that does is the age test uses a technology called methylation, and that's in the epigenetics world of science. That
Mm-hmm.
actually, your methylation patterns in your cells do change over time. And
Yeah.
so when you hear about companies who are doing biological age testing or longevity testing, that's what they're doing. And there's a
Oh,
couple of different
interesting.
ways that you could do it, but you can have a product like that where you test at year one, recommend some dietary changes or lifestyle changes, and then you could retest, a year or two later. I would say the science is slightly more advanced in the human space. The dog space, it's still emerging. So it's
Mm-hmm.
something we're thinking about and companies are exploring, but I think the science is still, the long-term studies are still to be seen on what the effective mitigation strategies could be.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Where did you when you came on and over your time there now, have you hit some roadblocks or challenges that you hit along the way, and if so, like how did you tackle them?
Yeah, I think the biggest shift, at least like personally, that I've been ushering and have felt is moving us to be more of a product-led, product-driven organization. With being a founder-led company, what I've experienced is a lot of the early ideas and momentum are someone at the top has an idea, the team scurries to execute, right? But there's not like a clear vision or strategy, what's driving that. And it's hard to track over time what needles you're moving. And so part of what I've been trying to bring to the organization, I think we've made really big strides this year, is just getting to think about what is the customer journey? Like, what is the strategic vision? How do you get a better sense of the customer problems and jobs to be done? And then mapping your strategy and roadmaps to that. And that in turn has clear business value and customer impact. And so I think just these are philosophies that have been brewing for a while. Like Marty Kagan and his books Empowered and Inspired are like great resources for folks. We also worked with Ben Foster, who is the former CPO of Whoop. He came in a fractional capacity this year and helped really like push forward this more like product-led strategy. So I think we're in a really good spot, and we have great executive alignment and vision that aligns to this. But it's a slow change, right? Like it takes time.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that you brought in someone fractional.
Yeah,
because that conversation comes up a lot, and in a lot of cases, it's about, well, when would I bring in someone like that, or how does that actually look like? So for you, and what was the role that person filled? What was it? Fractional?
It was a fractional chief product officer role.
Oh, yeah. So maybe just for that sake of that particular component, just touch on how you made that decision to have that person come in and how long that lasted, and maybe just a little bit on that.
Yeah. So Ben came in for a couple months between January and March was really when he was doing most of his time consulting closely with me and the executive team. Where we needed his leadership was we had spent the time over the summer with the executive team creating that 3-year strategic vision. And honestly, like for me, it's the gut checks. It's like someone who's been in the field for a long time, has done product-led transformation, has worked in software companies that are like taking a specific trajectory that we were on. And just to be like, yeah, these ideas are good. Like he didn't like do anything wild, right? But like just to hear and get that gut check of like, yes,
just reinforce what you've been thinking. Yeah.
And to challenge myself and my engineering lead to say, okay, like let's sit together and actually think of what are the teams that are going to do the work? How do you structure the roadmap? What's in, what's out? How do you present this to the board? I found very valuable, both professionally and personally, to have someone at that caliber come in. But it's also great for the company to just not like some things we were swirling on for a couple of years, just to have someone be like, yes. Who didn't have especially any political ties, right?
That's right. I was going to say, just because they had an outside perspective coming in, they don't have any, they're not jaded. They don't have any history. There's no, it's just getting an objective outside opinion to either validate what you already knew, which has value too, but also to identify some areas that maybe got overlooked, right? But
yeah, and we ended up doing some additional levels of customer research just to validate some features that we were thinking about. And again, like the results were not wildly off what we had in mind, but just to have
Hmm.
that
Just to
extra
have that.
check to then
Nice.
put that together for the team and for the board was really empowering.
And that was for a finite period of time.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So see, that's a great example. I think some people kind of think, well, I don't want to bring on a fractional person, long term, but you can do it that way. You can package it up. I just need you for 60 days, 90 days,
Right.
whatever it is, just to provide that kind of insight. I think that's valuable for listeners who are considering either doing that for themselves or actually becoming a type of fractional consultant.
I think it's empowering for the teams too, because it, having someone fractional can come in to do the gut checks, can help guide the strategy, can get the executive team aligned, but it's in partnership with the teams who are there. And then the teams know that person's leaving, right? And so you automatically can maintain ownership. There's no feeling like, oh, this person's stepping in on my role. Right. They're really there to just be like an in-house support person. And that I think was a positive choice for our company.
Yeah. Good decision.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So where do you draw on your work history in your leadership? Like that you've had a lot of really interesting experiences along the way. What have you pulled from that and what are you using now today in your leadership role?
Yeah, I think some of my personal like values and like superpowers definitely were instilled in that little bits, early startup space. I like to say one of my PM superpowers is like customer obsession. And so that translates into like making things people love. That's the output. And like so at Embark, we measure this thing called helpfulness. Like we have questions in app that are like, was this content helpful? Was this feature helpful? And like the stuff we've launched, it tends to be like 95% helpfulness. Our NPS is 70 plus, which is like best in class. So like people really love what we make. And a lot of that too, in working with a diverse group of hardware and software folks in that like playful invention STEM space, where like it's very human centered. It was very design thinking centric. And I was working with just like the smartest, most creative people I have ever encountered. It was industrial designers, architects, engineers, people from like all these different STEM backgrounds coming together to build these products. And
cool.
Yeah, I infuse that into my everyday. For example, one of our designers just ran a design sprint. The book Sprint, it came out of Google. If you're familiar with that, that's a great resource. Just like a 5-day sprint where you bring cross-functional folks together, you just jam on an idea, and at the end of it, you actually have a prototype that you've tested, and you can like have alignment and run.
Wow, cool.
And
so Google 5-day sprint.
I have the book up here. It's just called Sprint: How to Solve Big Problems and Test New Ideas in Just 5 days. It's by Knapp, but it's a great resource.
Nice. Okay.
So yeah, just Thanks. Like frameworks like that, I saw really work well in action. And it all comes back to the customer. Like, what is their problem? What are you trying to solve? How do you make someone's life better?
So you get a lot of customer feedback then?
We do a lot of customer feedback. I also...
Is it hard to get it? Because a lot of people think, it's really difficult to get customer feedback, but...
We do. So we have in-app feedback. So that like helpfulness widget that is like, it's not in your face. It's just on the page. People can interact with it if they choose to. Then in our post-purchase flow, we have we use Ask Nicely as our NPS tool. So you'll get an email from us. We'll also like ask for a review, which goes on our website. But then there's like some sneaky channels, I'll call it, where we have our own Embark DNA discussion on Facebook.
Okay.
And we're not private, in it, but I'm reading it every day, and it's sort of like its own you get so much data in real time of like,
It's just the community of people
yeah.
engaging.
It's
Wow,
thousands of
that's cool.
people, and there's a bunch of super users. People play their own guess the breed game where they're going in and being like, they post their dog and people guess, and then they get like, we have a feature in product and people use the Facebook more. It's like, just go where people are. Um,
Oh,
so
that's great.
yeah, people love to talk about their dogs, so that does make for an easier job for me and my team when it comes to
Right.
product feedback. Yeah.
And it also helps, to determine what's not working too, right? So then you
Right.
get it gives you a bit more evidence for when you say things like we're pulling this product, or this one's not as profitable as we think it should be, and this is why. You have that evidence.
We'll even see, we also have our customer service channel, which is, we can pull trends and percentage volume of different tickets to understand where we might be seeing friction. But in that Facebook group, for example, I'll get real-time feedback. We recently updated our sign in, sign out flow, and I saw a couple posts where people are like, I can't get in, what's happening? And so I screenshot that, I send it to my team, like, this is a bigger issue than we're seeing, right? And then we've worked on solutions for it. So it's just nice to have like a real time check.
Yeah, those glitches that just come out of nowhere,
Just
like
little
that
things.
broke.
I
Why
know.
did that break?
Yeah.
Makes it crazy.
Yeah.
Such as life in the world of tech,
I
right?
know.
Yeah.
Happens to the best of us. That's why you always want to have some percentage of your roadmap that's attributing to bug fixes. We actually,
How
fun fact, our internal bug channel is called Poop Patrol.
That's where you use at request poop support
Yeah.
instead of tech support.
We haven't gone there yet, but yeah.
I love it. So are you using AI as well? Is that part of your analysis process?
We're starting to use AI internally and for customer facing features. For internal use, we're just trying to encourage everyone to use it in their jobs, right? Like, if you're writing an email, if you're writing a presentation, use ChatGPT, use Cloud, either for, I mean, we've seen people just create whole presentations just by a prompt, right? And you can download to Google Slides. No shame in that game. I've used it for workshop planning. I have a 2-hour workshop. I have a clear objective. I'll go through, it'll tell me everything I need to do, all the points. I recently used Claude. I put in my board slides and I said, act like a board of directors, ask me questions, challenge my assumptions, and like I tweaked my storytelling, and the session itself went super well. So I think it paid off.
Do you still feel people have a bit of guilt using it? Like like they're not really doing the work, but yet they.
Yeah, it's interesting. My VP engineering, Jay-Z, and I recently ran a lunch and learn, and he did that. He created a whole presentation about presenting AI, and he said, just to be like transparent, I made this presentation with AI. And like, it's interesting to see people's reactions. Some people are like, and other people are like, right. And so there's still. So we're trying to, by bringing it to a lunch and learn, saying like, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, what I was clear in that presentation is like, you can't just blindly trust it. You still have to use your brain.
Of course, yes.
Right. And so
it still needs an operator.
You still need to check your work. You are still the subject matter expertise. Like, you can't just, let it fly, but it can accelerate your thought processes, get your gut checks.
Yeah.
And at the heart, even when I'm thinking about bringing AI into the product, it's not like I'm trying to replace people's jobs. It's just helping us make features that like make our jobs easier, faster, more personalized, in a way that like deterministic logic can only get us so far. But if we can like supercharge this thing and get someone a better quality support, let's try it.
Yeah, there's so many mundane things that we do on a daily basis that if we just thought about it for a minute, you could probably offload so many of those and it would free up not only your time, but your headspace to maybe focus on other things, you know. And I think
Yeah,
finding those tools is the next level of complexity. It's like, well, which tool is going to work? And
right.
there's so many tools to choose from. You know, do you have your do you have someone that's in charge of your tech stack that kind of goes, yeah, this tool works, this tool doesn't, you know?
We do. So our VP of engineering is sort of that like AI guru for the company. The one thing that we definitely advise on is like what is appropriate use for AI within the company. We just want to be careful about feeding in, confidential information about
Yeah.
employees,
Yeah.
things like that that just like, would feel,
Proprietary
yeah,
information,
proprietary
all that kind of
information.
stuff.
We also shared part of that lunch and learn. We shared like a couple tools that we were using. I go to Claude. It's more of like an analytical, powerhouse. We
Mm-hmm.
have engineers who use it for coding and more just like computational analysis. But I just think the depth of answers it gives is more what I'm looking for, whereas
Mm-hmm.
ChatGPT tends to be more. I found it's more creative if you have to do like branding or
Yeah.
illustrations or like just
Yeah.
general questions. So I would say like if you haven't found a favorite, like just experiment with a bunch of different
Yeah.
things, and you might find that you have a couple tools that you go to depending on what you are trying to achieve.
Good advice. Good advice. Okay, let's talk about marketing now.
Hmm.
Because just before we got on the call, I was watching a couple of your videos,
Yeah,
which I said or I thought were really well done,
thank you.
and it doesn't. So tell us about your marketing process. How do you approach your marketing of your products?
Interestingly, word of mouth is still our strongest engine.
Is that
Um,
right?
yeah.
Okay. Huh.
And like maintaining the NPS and shareability is always top of mind. We've experimented with a lot of different media channels over the years. So those commercials you saw were a collaboration we did with Colossus, who's a super talented agency. Um, Definitely check them out if you haven't seen them. Or the two that we ran were the first one is a breed reveal where it's a golden retriever, and they find out in doing the breed testing that there's some Cavalier King Charles in his background, and then it sends the couple on a spiral around the fact that their dog might actually be a king. It's very cheeky. A lot of bad
And
English
I started
accents.
adopting some terrible English
Yeah,
accents, and
the dog's just very embarrassed by the whole thing. And then the second one was a really
so
cute
good.
one around finding. We have a feature, a relative finder. So all the dogs in our database, as we run new dogs, we might match you with your dog's sibling or mother, or we can actually tell you now directly, like, we think this is your dog's mom, which is so cool.
Crazy.
But the
That's
commercial is
crazy.
someone finds out they have a sister in Albuquerque, and but the people don't know, and so this couple shows up with their dog and they burst in the door and they're like, we are here, and the woman who owns the house is like, who are you? We're like, we're family, and so both of them are sort of like,
Freckles.
yeah,
They're sisters.
right. It's very cute. We're sort of poking at ourselves in both of them, but I think it did the brand justice, and that's playful, it's silly, it's fun.
Yeah.
um, and so those we aired those over national TV channels. We aired it during a couple of the presidential debates when that was happening, and those did really well.
Wow.
Yeah,
They performed well, and in ads too, obviously on
in
socials,
ads.
and
Yeah.
they must perform quite well. Yeah.
um, we also worked with them on a brand refresh. One of the things we noticed as this DNA space is becoming more, I would say, dense with competitors, everyone sort of had the same brand, like similar brand colors. It was just
Mm-hmm.
like a picture of a dog and the kit. And so they did a really lovely job infusing our logo into all of the designs. And so we sort of, if
Mm-hmm.
you look at some of our brand assets, you'll always see a cut of the logo, the yellow Embark dog and all of our assets, which I
Mm-hmm.
think has helped with us stand out. The other cool thing that we did was we did a partnership with Disney last fall.
Wow.
Yeah, um, in connection with the Inside Out 2 movie coming out.
Oh, no
Yeah,
kidding.
so that was
Wow.
like Know Your Dog Inside Out. It's
That's
just,
great.
yeah,
Oh,
so
that's
that was
really
really
good.
fun. The whole company got to go to a screening in Boston. We rented out the whole theater, And then we did a sweepstakes for folks who could sign up, and the winning ticket was you go to the premiere in LA and see the movie.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah,
That's great.
yeah,
And so how do you, I mean, those are large
those
campaigns.
are, yeah.
It's quite large. And how do you evaluate the return on that? I mean, it all sounds really cool and Disney and all that. And
Right.
how do you evaluate it? It's like, oh, we'll definitely do that again. Or, wow, that was a cool once in a lifetime thing. Great experience, but we're not going to go there. How do you evaluate that for the company?
I mean, the primary twofold of like the primary mechanisms, we do have a how did you hear about us question in our kit activation flow. So we can get a sense of like long lead times. If someone did hear about us through Disney or one of
Mm-hmm.
these bigger commercials, we can get that. The other thing that we look for is we do a yearly brand tracker.
Mm-hmm.
And so both of those plays were really about just category awareness. And so we can track year over year the percentage of folks who have heard of DNA testing in general and then
Right.
Embark specifically. And we did see over the past year, we did have a positive increase on both of those numbers. So it's hard to tie
Amazing.
it directly back,
Directly. Yeah.
but we do think that investing in some of the awareness categories during that time were successful.
Well, I guess with the Disney one too, you tied in kind of a contest too, right?
Yeah.
Where,
Yeah. So
yeah,
we had immediate leads from that we worked to convert, but then
yeah,
some of those people might not come through for a while.
yeah, yeah, becomes more brand awareness,
Right.
but huge coverage. I mean, that's pretty significant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other avenues, other things that you work on in the marketing space to get Embark out?
Yeah, one of the things we're trying this year is we've been aligning with like brands in the pet care space. We recently have been partnering with Ollie, which is a fresh dog food.
Mm,
And then we did a campaign with Fi, which is a wearable collar. And those have been gift with purchase campaigns.
mm-hmm.
And so you're typically what's been happening. Well, actually, we did it both ways. So for Ollie, they've been primarily giving away our kits with
Right.
and then on the Fi side, we gave away their collar with a gift with purchase.
Nice.
And we are seeing good traction both on the acquisition and the retention side. These are like early experiments, but we're excited to see where they go because I think like one of the things we know is people have very busy lives
Mm-hmm.
and their pets, if they don't have children, it's their baby. But if they do have children, I'm a mom. Like,
Yep.
I don't have a lot of time. I work in a dog company. I don't have a lot of time to think about what new foods or what new experiences I'm going to try for my dog. So the
Right.
more we can combine with just like people who are already top of mind and starting to think through what is like the comprehensive story with some of these companies, I think we're hitting new audiences in ways that we might not have before.
Yeah, that cross pollination's a really smart idea,
Yeah.
especially when I mean, it's connected, but yeah, they're very, very complementary
Yeah.
in that field. That's a really cool idea, actually. So the Ollie is the food, and then the collar it's a finder chip
It's
or
so Fi, they have like a multi-value prop for their collar. It can be a finder. It can also just be like an exercise tracker. Um,
oh, no kidding.
yeah, so
Really?
it's sort of like Strava for dogs.
Wow, we're there, are we?
Yep. Which is cool. Like
It sounds, yeah, it is
I get
cool.
excited about wearables because I think when you start to get into the world of behavior, if
Yeah,
you're like, if you're thinking about longevity and tracking over time, if you are, I wear my Fitbit all the time. I'm obsessed with
yeah,
tracking my sleep
yeah,
and my steps. Like you can do the same for your dog. And if you're noticing maybe your dog was drinking less that day or is having changes in sleep, those could be
that's
early
right.
signs for maybe some issues that are popping up.
Stress,
Yeah,
things like
stress.
that, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, that ties in back to what you're talking about with the teledoc and telemedicine is that,
Right.
there's your accessibility. And this is your data when you're collecting the information. And then next is the advisement or what to do now,
Yeah.
or the alert. Oh, your dog is struggling with dehydration or, the various other things that could trigger an alert to either the vet or the pet owner to say,
Great.
you better get this looked at. So it's kind of like a full holistic sort of health and wellness and preventative medicine approach, which is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I love the digital solutions for a lot of things, at the end of the day, it's nice to talk to someone. Like one of my direct reports actually uses the teletraining service because she has a new pup, and she was like, it's like therapy to me. Like I go, once a month, every other week, whatever makes sense for her, and just to talk to a trainer about like, hey, this is what I'm working on, this is what worked,
Oh,
this is what
interesting.
didn't.
Yeah.
And she
Right.
feels, because a lot of, like, when you're a first time dog owner, a lot of what you want is just validation and like reassurance
Yeah.
that you're doing the
Yeah.
right thing. It's like raising kids.
Yeah. Right.
Um,
Exactly.
and so if you could talk to someone who just like, you're like, yeah, no, this is totally normal. Maybe try this next time. That feels really, I feel like a better pet parent when I walk away from a conversation like that.
Yeah. And like you said, particularly with young dogs, pups, because they're so, they're, most of us, I mean, we had ours is 11 and we've had her since she was 2 months old. And I don't know, I'd probably do things a little different if I did it the next time, but no,
Yeah,
you just don't know. And there's only so much information that you could, there's a lot of information, but you never know what information is right, and
yeah.
making the right decisions at that time in their evolution or their growth uh, journey is really important for out, particularly when it comes to training the dog, for example. But
And every dog is different. Like going back to
mm-hmm.
the breed insights, right? Like I grew up showing and training golden retrievers, but now I have the past two dogs I've had have been Sheltie, like Shepherd Collie mixes, and those are just very different dogs.
Yeah.
So the things I try with them are slightly adapted from what might have worked a couple years ago. And even just like over the years, training techniques have changed. Positive reinforcement is a really big focus right now. Like, well, I remember being younger, and the way I was taught was like you put a chain collar around your dog's neck, and you would,
Mm.
negative reinforcement. You would give them a little tick around the neck when they did something wrong.
Yeah.
Now it's all treats and positive and praise, and it's like your dog's much happier. You feel better as a pet parent, and so, you know, you can say there's a difference between a new pet parent and an experienced pet parent, but it's also the time that has elapsed in the dog that you have. It's not,
Yeah.
one size fits all. There's always stuff to learn.
Always
Yeah.
stuff to learn,
Yeah.
and it's a growing industry. So you've got many people to help through their dog parenting journey.
Yeah.
Your dog, I noticed earlier, knows how to open the door.
I know. I was just, actually, it's good timing, Ollie.
Good
Just came
timing.
right over.
That was your cue. Good dog.
Yes, that's one of the magic tricks of being in a recorded meeting with me is like there's a ghost that moves behind my chair. It's my dog.
What's his name?
Ollie.
Ollie. Oh, that's Ollie.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's Ollie.
Oh, that was funny. Yeah, I saw him sneak by earlier, and then the door opened, and then out he went. And
Yeah.
he just came back right at
Yeah.
the right moment. That was
Perfect
perfect.
timing.
So give a little bit of advice to somebody who's entering, either the tech industry or in the pet industry. And attaboy, Ollie, get in there. You got to get your voice in there too. You who are looking at, maybe taking a journey in this, you're following in your footsteps, so to speak. Any advice or any advice or guidance for them entering this market?
I would say follow your passion, but stay open-minded. The career trajectories today are not what they were of the past. But I think if you're connected to whatever is your personal value set and mission, you're going to find ways to work with amazing people on problems that you think matter. And I always look for a company that, has that culture of people who just like want to roll up their sleeves. I think that's why I'm attracted to startups, is like people
Right.
genuinely are there to make a difference. and having a culture that supports that only leads to both like positive interactions. You want to work with people every day that you really like. And like I want to
Exactly.
be
Yeah.
like working for a company that has a clear vision and feels like the time I'm putting in is positively impacting other people.
I hear that often. A lot of people now have actually had some sort of experience with a startup, and it has, and they've said similar things that I love the environment of the startup. They didn't like the paycheck of a startup, but
Yeah.
the experience of a startup is what kind of sets the course for their career trajectory. What is it about a startup, whatever role it is? What is it about that gives somebody something that they can really lean on in the future?
You have to be scrappy. You have to be adaptable, and you, I mean, it's cliche, but you really do wear a lot of different hats. And so it's great
Mm-hmm.
for someone who's just starting out who might not know, you might have a sense of where you want to go, but you might be asked to do things that like you didn't even have a concept of in the past.
Right.
And I think just being open minded to the opportunities that come your way and just like giving it your best. I think one of the things I've learned through my career is like no one really knows like like how to do things well a lot of the time. Like everyone's just sort of faking it till they make it, and like just
Teetering on imposter syndrome.
yeah. And you just need to get over that, right? Like
That's right.
and it's one of the hardest lessons of just like everyone's just sort of figuring it out alongside you, and like you have an opportunity to shape things. Like don't let people think they're smarter than you just because they have a better CV. Like if you have cool ideas and like you have a team behind you, like try stuff. Like you're gonna fail,
Yeah,
and that's okay.
for
And I
sure.
think like that's
Oh
the
yeah.
startup environment that fosters that, because everyone's like you're all just trying to build something cool and figure it out together. So I really love that type of environment.
It's funny. It's one thing my son, I was talking to my son about career and work and stuff, and it was a bit of not a surprise, but it all kind of brought to light for him. It's like, when you come out of university, you don't actually have to know how to do any particular job. You have a lot of really collective information. You just haven't had a chance to apply it. So when you get your first job out of university or whatever, no one expects you to know how to do that job. So you
Right.
get on the job training where you get to apply what you learn, but without that training, there's no expectation. So just go and try anything, everything, and see what
It's
floats your boat.
yeah, it's the soft skills that are going to make or break. Yeah, especially in the AI world where everything's going to be automated, but like to
Yeah,
be able to think critically, talk to people, have influence in your organization, right? Be a good collaborator, be
problem solve.
creative. Those are the
Yeah,
things that people are going to be hiring for.
yeah,
And so the more that you can practice that in a safe environment, like, you'll have a leg up
and be nice to work with.
and be nice to work with. Yeah, no one likes to. Have you ever read Build by Tony Fadell?
No.
His one of his quotes is that he doesn't hire assholes. That was like one of his hiring policies.
Oh,
And
I
I think,
think I've heard of this.
yeah,
I think I've heard of this.
yeah, he that's a great read. He has a very strong, I would say, unique perspective on passion and just but creating quality products that customers love that really resonated
I
with
might
me.
I might have heard another one like I don't work with jerks or
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that.
I think it's good life lesson.
That's a good philosophy,
Hmm.
100%. Awesome. Well, this has been great, Erin. I'm really glad we had a chance to do this. Do you have any, last thoughts or things you want to share with listeners before we wrap it up?
I think this has just been a pleasure, and if you haven't checked out Embark, please do. And if you want to connect with me, I'm on LinkedIn. Send me a note if you'd like to chat. But I'm excited to be where I am. Like product management is such an exciting field, and AI is just starting to shape, I think, where this field can be going. But I'd be curious to see how the current trends continue.
Well, thanks, Erin. And absolutely, if you need to people should be getting their pet DNA tests and find out if they have royal blood in their dogs. Thanks a lot, Erin. And we'll talk again one of these days soon.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
So that was kind of cool, moving over to animal health and learning from Erin about how testing over 2 million dogs and turning their genetic insights for Embark is redefining how that industry understands and can support canine health. Really cool. We've kind of adopted that from the human side of things, and I think Erin really leaned into her biology background into where she's at today in tech and canine care. So a few things that she leaned on was that how much she took away from her history in startups and what evidence and learnings and experiences she brought to the table from that. I think that was very valuable for those of you that are entering the market. I mean, I think startup is a great place for to get some experience. Yeah, scrappy. You got to be scrappy. And I think wearing many different hats is a really great insight as to how any kind of business is actually operated and run. Erin also indicated that AI does hold a lot of promise for delivering more personalized care for pets in the future. And she reminds us that success isn't just about innovation. It's about adaptability, collaboration, and building a culture of people who actually want to be part of it. So great advice from Erin. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you soon.